So just to set the scene, imagine you have a particular web link that you want to share or a PDF that you want to share with somebody. It's getting increasingly harder and harder nowadays to get people to give you their details, their name, their email address, their phone number in a funnel page. So a great way of still managing to get some detail from them and serve some value up to them is to have a social post. A social post where you're giving something away, whether that's a link to a funnel or a PDF, and you're simply asking them to comment a particular keyword. Because everybody on social is pretty much happy with just commenting, I'm in, yes, send it to me, quiz or whatever as a comment, because they don't think they're really giving away many details. They're not giving away their personal information, really. They're on the social, right? So it's a lot easier to get engagement from people when they don't have to give much. It's to do with a value exchange. If they don't have to give much of their value, but they're receiving more value from you, then the perceived value that you're serving up is of greater value. So using socials where you're saying comment quiz or comment PDF or comment freebie below is much more likely to get engagement from people and to get details from people, because then ultimately, you can start a conversation with them, right? If you've served them some value, you can start a conversation. So we're going to learn how to automate that today. But before we do, let's just go a little bit into the background, a little bit of a practical for you guys as well. So here's a very quick example of a quick test post that I put out. So I have a quiz funnel that I push people through. So on Instagram, I've created a little graphic for it. And the only text that I've put with that post is, in just 90 seconds, discover which of our 4 proven tech strategies are perfectly suited to streamline and grow your coaching business. Comment quiz for details. So that's a perfect hook. It's a perfect call to action. And it's really easy for someone to just comment the word quiz below, right? So do me a favor, get your phones out, just scan that QR code. So as I say, bit of a practical for you here now. I'll just zoom in for you. That QR code will take you to that post. Go and have a look at it and comment quiz and then see what happens. You're going to see firsthand what that automation does. So all you literally need to do is comment quiz on that post once you have scanned that QR code. So while some of you are doing that, I'll take you to a second example. So there's a second example there. So again, this is another giveaway. So the first giveaway, I'm trying to push people towards a web link funnel that I've got that gets them to take a quiz, which I'm using with various upsell. The second one is completely value to them. Okay, I'm not gaining anything from this really. I'm just giving away some free templates. So again, I've put another Instagram post out there, and this time it's a bit longer, the post, but in essence, I'm still doing something similar. I'm saying, look, here's the value that you're going to get. All you need to do is just drop 24 emails as a comment in the post, and then they'll get that automatically. So you don't necessarily need to do that one, but at least doing one of them is worth seeing, because then you'll see the customer side of what happens. Anybody done it? Anybody seen what's happened? Have people got a reply comment back? Have people got a DM? Has anyone clicked the link in the DM? No, yes. So as you can see, I mean, I wasn't doing anything there. That's all happened automatically. So we'll look at how to set that up in a minute. But before we do, let's look a little bit more at the theory. Vishad, hi, mate. How are we doing?
No, mate, not bad.
So let's look a little bit at the theory. Why would we even want to bother doing this? Well, look, ultimately, it's lead generation, right? We're trying to collect interest, intent, information from people, and we're trying to further nurture them to build authority, relationships, so that in essence, we can start learning about them and learning about whether our products are a good fit and have more detailed conversations and more marketing activity towards them. So it's like a lead funnel. It's like a conversation with them. It's just a conversation starter, but a really good one because the value exchange is really heavily on the side of them receiving more value. So it's lead generation. So the process is we have a post with a call to action, and that call to action is asking them to comment a keyword. We wait then for people to comment with that keyword. Then we're going to reply to their comment, as you've just seen from that example from scanning the QR code. And then we're going to DM them with a link, which will be either the direct link to the PDF or the link to the funnel or whatever it is that you're giving away. So we can do that automatically. You could do it manually. Don't get me wrong. You could create a post. You could ask people to comment a particular keyword, and you could sit there watching the post, watching your notifications come in, quickly jump in and reply to it straight away, and then create a DM to them where you've probably copied and pasted it from somewhere else. Then you scratch around and try and find the link for your PDF, and then you copy that in. So you could do all of this manually, but it's an absolute nightmare to do it manually. If you're getting a lot of response on your posts, you just want something that happens automatically. So what we're going to do is we're going to set something up where we still create the post initially, but then when it comes to waiting for the comments to come in, we're going to have something that waits and watches. And if someone comments that keyword, then it's automatically going to handle the replies, the DM, save the contact in our database, and also do a few other special things as well, which I'll show you when we get to that point. So does all that make sense so far? Everybody clear, good, understand why we do it and the process that we're going to follow? Yeah, cool. Good, good, good. Okay, so when it comes to automation, Meta, Instagram, Facebook, they do state that you can do a certain amount of automation, and they are bringing out and have brought out some AI capabilities in their business suite. It's still not sophisticated enough to do some of what we want to do, where we're automatically responding and DMing and sending a link. It's geared up for gathering information for them, not necessarily gathering information for us. So there are a lot of third-party tools that do it. If we want to do this, what we're going to look at today, you could use Chatfuel, you could use InstaChamp, you could use ManyChat. ManyChat's probably one of the most common, but what we're going to look at today is how we do it within Growth Runtime, which is my system. Okay, so they will all be very similar. They will all have a CRM type module built in them, and they'll also have an automation tool where you can build out if this happens, then do this. So we're going to look in Growth Runtime. So I'm going to quickly switch over to the Growth Runtime system. And this is just one of well over 100 features that's within Growth Runtime. So we're just going to concentrate on one today. So I've already got it connected to my socials, and whichever tool that you would use, you would have to inform it of your socials, and you'd have to connect it to your socials. That piece is already done. So I've already done that, and I've connected it to all of my socials. What we're going to be looking at today is the Instagram autoresponder. So I'm going to head straight over to my automation. And before I get too far into that, what I'm going to do is, let's just say that I've got a PDF. Oh, where did that go? Let's try refreshing that. So I've got this PDF that I want to give away to people. Okay, so I need to know where this PDF is stored. I need to have a link to this PDF if I'm going to be sharing it with people. Now, I know that I've got it built into my system already, and I've uploaded that, and I've got the link to one side. If you've got your PDF stored somewhere else online, then you're going to need the link in order to be able to share the link with somebody. The same with a web page, the same with a funnel. So there is a bit of prep you need to do to understand where the link is and what link you're going to share. So I'm going to jump straight into the automation side of things. So ignore to a certain extent all of these because there's just loads of automations. I'm going to start an automation from scratch. And the way that automations work is they will always have something that initiates it, something that it's watching out for, and that's called the trigger. So we need to tell this automation that its trigger is a comment being left on one of our social posts. And we'll have to add some extra conditions in there to tell it which post, where, and all of that sort of stuff. But that's what we're going to do. So first of all, I'm just going to give it a quick name. So I'm going to call this Instagram auto responder. And I'm going to listen out for the word, I don't know, yes. Okay, make it simple. Make sure it doesn't conflict with anything else that I've got there. So I'm going to click Add Trigger. And within this system, it has got so many triggers, it's unreal. However, if I start typing and look what's it got to do with Instagram. So I've started to type Insta. I'll just zoom in a little bit for you. And you can see here that we've got an Instagram comments on post. I'm going to select that as the trigger. Now the screen looks a little bit daunting, but bear with me. We're going to go through it step by step. So the trigger name here, I can type whatever I want. That's just my descriptive way of detailing what this trigger is. What's important here is telling the system which Instagram account is it, what are the attributes of the post, and what words do you want to listen out for. So where it says page is, because my Instagram's already connected, the only option I've got available is my Bright Coaching Xperience Instagram page. If I'd connected multiple Instagram accounts, obviously it would be asking me which one. So I'm going to select that one. It's automatically assumed that it's listening out on a published post. Okay, so we can leave that. And then you can also say post is. So you can actually tell it to go and look at a specific post if you want, or you can tell it to just in general watch all published posts for a particular keyword. Now I prefer that option because I might create a graphic and a post about my quiz, for example, and then post it. And in 2 weeks' time, I might decide to create a different graphic with different text, but I still want that keyword to do exactly the same thing, and it's still going to point to the same thing. So there's a big advantage of just having it whereby it's looking for all published posts, but you could, if you wanted to, go and tell it to only watch a specific post, and it's clever enough to pull back all of your posts that you've got. So I'm not going to do post is. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to tell it contains phrase. So any of my published posts, in the comments, if somebody leaves a comment with the word yes in it, okay, then trigger this particular automation. Now that might get triggered by mistake because, as you can see there, I've used the word yes, which is common in normal language. So you probably want to pick something that's perhaps just a little bit more unique. So something like quiz yes, or quiz now, or you'd pick something that's going to be unusual and intentful, as in they've had to type that in. That is not going to just appear in a normal conversation. You can select contains phrase, or you can select exact match and type in the keyword. It's entirely up to you. I tend to say contains phrase and then just pick something a little bit obscure. Some people, for example, might decide to do quiz 3, quiz 2, quiz 4, put a random character after it. They'll just do something that makes it perhaps a little bit unique. So I'm going to say quiz 49. That will do me. Once I've done that's the trigger setup, and I'm going to click save. So now what that is doing is that's looking at my Instagram posts. It's looking at all published posts, and it's looking to see if anybody leaves a comment with quiz 49 in there, or whatever it is that I specify. I could turn on first level comments only. What that means is, let's say that someone comments, oh, I'm not sure if this is for me, and then you reply back, and then they say, oh, actually, yes, I will have it then. That will be a second or third level comment. I'm probably only interested in auto responding to people who just straight away want it. So I would probably turn that on. So that's the trigger. That's now listening out for quiz 49. So I am just going to very quickly, just bear with me. Sorry about that. So that's the trigger done. What we now need to do is tell the system what it is that we're actually going to do, because all it's done at the moment is said, just listen out for this event. This is the thing that's going to trigger the action. So now we need to add the actions in. So what are the actions that we want to do? So I'm going to click plus. And what I'm going to do is, and we'll get a little bit more refined with this in a minute, but I'm going to type in the word reply. It knows what the trigger is, and it gives me relevant actions based on the trigger. So reply in comments, it knows that that's an Instagram reply in comments because that's what the trigger was. So what I can now do is I can set up my auto reply. So quite typically, the sorts of things that people would say would be something like, hey, check your DMs. Great stuff. Go and have a look in your DMs and make sure it's not there as spam. You'd say that sort of thing in common language talk, right? So you can put in there a response. What I always suggest is that you have a few different responses, a few different variations, because if you just send that same response to every single person that comments, it's going to look a bit shit. It's going to look robotic. And although we're trying to automate, the last thing in the world we want to do is to make potential leads, prospects feel like they're being pushed through automation. We don't want to put it in their face that they're not important enough to have our time and attention, right? So what you'd probably want to do is to have a few different alternatives. So all saying the same things, all saying basically, I've sent something to you in a DM, go and check. But then you'd probably have just a few alternatives. So I'm just going to put 4 alternatives in there. And the beauty of this is then with this particular action, it's clever enough to randomize and just pick one of those responses each time it needs to do a reply. So the likelihood of it doing the same one in a row with lots of people is very unlikely. And again, you could add more than 4 in there, but I think 4 is a reasonable amount of random in there. I'm going to save that action. So it listens out, it's listening out for quiz 49. It's then going back and commenting to those people and saying, great, check your DMs. Now what we need to do is actually craft the DM that's going to send them that information. Everybody okay so far? Have I lost anybody yet? No? All good? Great stuff. So the next action, I'm going to click on the plus. And this action now, again, it's still Instagram. So I'm going to type in Inst. And I'm going to use the Instagram interactive messenger. And I can use templates, but I'm not going to use templates. I'm just going to type straight into the message. So what do I want to say in the DM? So I probably want to say something like, hey, I don't know, here's the quiz link, or here's the PDF, or whatever it is that you've just said that you were going to send to them. But it's not just that. You can then decide to do a few things. You can actually add an attachment here and now, almost like it's an email, and you're adding an attachment to an email. So you could, if it was a PDF, go straight to the source and give them the PDF and just attach it, and it would appear in the DM. You could decide that you wanted to add a URL. You could send the link in there as well. But what tends to get more engagement is to use buttons, because it's unusual to see buttons in your DMs, right? So people are intrigued by them. People click them. It's exciting. It's interactive. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to basically send them to a quiz link, which is a funnel page, but I'm going to create a button in this DM. So I'm going to scroll slightly further down. I'm going to click Add New Button. What's the button going to say? Take the quiz now. What's the action going to be? Open up a website. And then I'm just going to copy in my URL, which will then take them to a page when they click the button. The alternative, of course, if it was a PDF and you've got that stored online somewhere, the button could say download PDF, and then you put the PDF link in. It doesn't matter whether it's a funnel, whether it's a PDF, whether you decide to attach it, or whether you have an action button. It's completely up to you. But I'm going to use action buttons. So I'm going to do save action. The last little thing I'm going to do, it's not important ordinarily, but because of what I'm doing in my system, I'm just going to add a timeout on it so that it's not just sitting there constantly. So that is pretty much it. So just to recap, we have got a trigger that's looking across my Instagram account, across all published posts for the phrase quiz 49 at first level comments stage. It will automatically pick one of these comments at random and use that as a reply. And then it will automatically, straight after that, send them a DM saying, hey, here's the quiz link. There'll be a button in that says take the quiz now, and that button will take them to that URL. And the ones of you who did click on the QR code have actually seen that in action. For anybody who's turned up late, let's give you that one again. Feel free to scan the QR code and actually see it in action. You can see the customer side of what happens. If you scan that, it'll take you to my post. Type in the word it's looking for, and you'll get to see the fact that the reply comes automatically, the DM comes automatically with the button that then takes you through. So that's what we've looked at, but it would be rude not to do more than this, right? It would be rude not to do more, because ultimately, if we go all the way back to the start, what is the point to us doing this sort of thing? It's lead generation. It's learning, it's gathering information about somebody who's expressing an interest. It's understanding them. It's being able to grab their details and perhaps add them into our email list and do something more clever. So the automation that we've just set up is great. And as part of this automation, it will automatically grab their Instagram details and put them into the CRM. And it will do that whichever system you're using, any of those systems that I showed you earlier. They will all have their own basic form of CRM. But when it comes to Growth Runtime, you can do some really clever stuff. So let's just add in a couple of extra things. So we're doing the autoresponder, that's great. But now I want to think with my sales and marketing head on. So what else would I want to do? Well, as I bring their detail in, I would possibly want to tag them in my CRM. So I know when I look at my CRM that's got thousands of people in there, which were the people who actually came in through Instagram and expressed an interest in this particular post or this giveaway. So what I'm going to do is, in here, I'm going to add in a step that tags them as it saves the contact. So up at the top, before I respond, I'm going to click the plus. I'm going to type the word tag. I'm going to add a contact tag. And then I can pick from the tags that I've already got defined in the system, or I can create a new one. So this one, I probably have actually got a tag already. I've got quiz DM Instagram. So I now know that anybody in my contact database that has got that tag has gone through this process and therefore expressed an interest in my quiz from a DM post. So I'm going to add that tag in. But I'm not going to stop there either, because again, it's great that I've now cataloged and tagged that person, but what else? Well, the whole point is to follow up, isn't it? Yes, we've served the value up, but don't we now want to follow up with that person? So we've got a few different options. At the end of this sequence, we could automatically enroll them into an email sequence that follows up with them a few days later and then start serving them additional value and information and putting offers in front of them. We could do that, but let's go simpler than that. Why don't we just have a conversation with them? Why don't we create an opportunity in the system to remind us to go and call the person or to reach out to them? So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to tag them. I've already now tagged them. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to click another action. I'm going to type the word opportunity. I'm going to create an opportunity, and you'll see what this looks like in a minute. I've got pipelines set up in my system. So I've got different types of pipelines. I've got one which is called social opt-in. In my pipeline stages, I've got a particular stage that tracks people who were interested in the different keywords and the different platforms. So Insta quiz. So I'm putting them in a particular column. What am I going to call the opportunity name? Well, I'll call it whatever their contact name is. So if I'll put full name, but that will probably be their Instagram handle. What's the source? I could type in social. Is there a value? No. What's the status? It's open. I'm going to tick that to say I can move the opportunity anywhere, and I'm going to click Save Action. So what that's now going to do is listen out for the word, straight away, pull their detail into my CRM and tag them as being somebody who's taken this particular route. Then I'm going to create an opportunity in my sales system to remind me that it's a lead, it's a prospect, go and do something with it. And then I can assign tasks to that. I can take it to different stages, but at least I've got a footprint now that I can look at and be aware of. Then I'm going to respond to their comment with a reply. Then I'm going to DM them. And again, as I say at the end, if I wanted to, if once they've taken the quiz, I could, not that I'm going to do all of this now, but I then could send an email from a template, or I could type in a message and I could send a sequence of emails. Wait 1 day, send an email. Wait another 2 days, send another email. Wait a week, send a prompt email again. So I can do all of those things and many more things. But I think what we've got there for now will do us. What that means is when we then look, and I'll just find the right tab. Oh, I can see 2 people scan the QR code earlier, which is nice. So 2 of you earlier, Michelle and Carrie-Anne, went through that process. You scanned the QR code. Did you get the automatic replies? Did you get the DM? Did you get the button? Brilliant. So I can see now that it's created you in the system and it's created opportunities for me as well. So one of you did the 24 email, one of you did the quiz, which is great. The opportunity in itself, I can now start tracking. I can add notes, I can add tasks. But not only that, if we look at the record in the system, it's giving us all of the rundown of all of what's happened, the journey that client, that prospect has gone through so far. So we can see that they clicked on a trigger link, the opportunity was created. Here's a copy of the DM that was sent to them. So we get to learn everything about that prospect, and that will now live as that prospect in the system. So if we send more emails to them, it will get attached to that record. And if we eventually convert them, they're then going to rather be in a lead, they're then going to be a customer, and we'd see their purchase history and all of the different products and things that they have as well. So that is why it would make a lot more sense, even though, I'll just get to the right screen again, even though you could do that manually. You could create a post manually. You could manually watch it for a keyword being used in the comments. You could manually reply and you could manually send the DMs. I get it. You could do that manually. But if you're trying to do that in volume, or if you're trying to take advantage of learning more about that particular prospect, that lead, and automating some extra stuff around it, like creating tasks, creating opportunities, sending email automation to them, all automatically based on the fact that they've just expressed an interest in your post, then that's where you can really leverage automation and use it to its full potential. Because again, don't forget, it's lead generation. It's not just about trying to create a post that gets engagement. That's a byproduct. The engagement and reach is a byproduct. We want to do something with that information. And again, going back to the very start, why are people more likely to comment on a post than they are to fill in a form, fill on a lead magnet? Well, it's a value exchange thing, isn't it? They're already logged into the social media. It's hardly any effort just to type the word quiz or comment or quiz 49, right? That's completely different than having to go into a form and fill in your first name, your surname, your mobile number, your email address, tick a box to say you don't mind being marketed to, and so on. So that is pretty much it. Any questions on any part of that process? And feel free to come off mute to put anything in the comments if you don't want to speak up. Oh, we have a hand. Carry on.
Karl, one thing I just wanted to ask you is about the saving of the PDF. When I did the last thing with you, you saved it on GRT somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Do I make sense? And
Yeah,
I'm just
that makes
wondering,
sense.
where is the place that I save it? It's where I import all my photos and stuff to, but what's the name of that place? Because I get quite confused about the different categories on the left-hand side.
I can show you very quickly. In Growth Runtime, if you go into media storage on the left-hand side, you will have a whole area where you can create your own folders, and within folders, you can then just upload files. So
Great.
if I was doing freebies and giveaways, I would probably create like a freebie PDF section. And then it's as simple as just doing an upload and then go and find your file that you want to upload. Once you've done that, and this will be the same. I know we're looking at Growth Runtime specifically here, everybody, sorry, but it's going to be the same with any online system, really, right? And once you've then uploaded and it's stored in the cloud, you will then be able to normally look at it and ask for the link. So if you do a get link and then go into another browser tab, you can then just make sure that link is loading that PDF. Then it's this link that you would want to put behind your button. And you could do it with Google Drive. And don't get me wrong, if you've opened up your Google Drive, or you've got a shared folder there, or if you've got any other system, if you've got any other cloud-based storage, Dropbox, Google Drive, whatever system you're using, there'll be a way for you to store files, to share them with people, and to get a public share link. So does that help, Carry on?
It does. And then a very quick one, and if it's not a quick one, don't answer. But if I wanted to use one of those PDFs, but I wanted to tweak it slightly, so change the price or something like that, do I then have to take it back to the beginning stage, wherever, Canva or whatever, to do it? Or can I do it on the system, the GRT system or the whatever system? Does that make sense?
It makes sense. You would have to go back to wherever you created it. There's no graphics or PDF editor in cloud storage systems or most sort of CRM systems. You'd need to go back to where it was. There are plugins that you can get for some systems to open up things in Google Docs, Sheets, Excel, and stuff like that. But when it comes to a PDF, by the time you've created a PDF, that's imagery. That's not something that's normally easily editable without taking it into something that can edit PDFs or going back to the graphic and then resaving it as a PDF. So no, if you've got a version 2, you would create a version 2, upload it, and then go back and change your automation so that they were all using that new version 2 link. Make sense?
Thank you.
Any other questions? All very quiet. So two very quick last things then. I just want to quickly show you, once you've created a workflow, I mean, obviously you should be testing it, and I'm not necessarily going to cover that right now. That's probably going too deep. What I'm just going to quickly do is, let's say, as I've got some automations already set up. So I've got 2 quiz automations set up, one that watches Facebook, one that watches Instagram, and I've got my 24 emails automation, again, one that watches Instagram, one that watches Facebook. If I've then got something brand new giveaway and a brand new keyword, yes, I could create from scratch, but it's just going to be an awful lot easier if I just duplicate. So I can take a workflow, I can duplicate it. I would then change the name to, I don't know, whatever it was. Let's say cookbook. And then all I'd need to then do is just go in and edit the specific bits that are important. So the first thing would be, what word is it looking out for now? Well, it's looking out for cookbook. I'd probably change that name there. Save the trigger. The responses would probably still be the same. The tag that I add would probably be different. It would now probably be cookbook as a new tag. And the only other thing that might be slightly different is some of the things like the create opportunity. I might not call it, I might not put it into the same stage. I might put it into a cookbook stage in my pipeline. So once you've got an automation, duplicating it and editing it is often a lot quicker than going from scratch. So that's the first thing I wanted to show you. The next thing is as well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not that I'm a control freak, but I like to know what's going on in the background with my automation. So one thing that we didn't do in those automations was to add in a little notification to ourselves. So it's really easy to do that. So in this particular flow, I've automatically put one in. So as one of the stages, once it's created the opportunity, it's then creating an internal notification by email to me as the main user. And the subject line of the email is 24 emails comment on Instagram post. And I'm just sending a message to myself saying, I just received a 24 emails comment on an Instagram post. The automation kicked in, liked their comment, replied to the comment, and sent it via DM. So I'm just keeping myself informed so that I can keep an eye on how many of these things are coming through. Okay, so again, it's just a little nice touch to keep an eye on how often this stuff's being triggered. You can use some merge fields in there as well. If I wanted to know the username that it had come from, the Instagram account, I could click custom values and say that it's full name, and that would automatically merge in the username of the Instagram account. And there's lots of other stuff that you could do as well. As I say, add email sequences at the end, and the world's your oyster when it comes to automation. And the final thing, the very final thing, is if you're interested in what else Growth Runtime can do for you, or you're interested just in having it to do that Instagram and Facebook page automation stuff alone, you can get us started for a small value of just £29 a month subscription. And if you look at some of the others that I was suggesting earlier, they are anywhere between £15 a month for limited functionality all the way up to about 70 odd pound and beyond for business users. If you start having more than 500 comments going out, I mean, you're looking at hundreds a month. So if you're interested in looking at Growth Runtime, please do go and take a look at GrowthRuntime.app. This is just one of hundreds, and I'm not exaggerating, hundreds of things that the system can do, but this is a really useful thing. So please do go and check it out if you're interested. And as I say, you can get started for as little as $29 a month with very little help, system only, and building up to the maximum of $149 a month, which means you get mentoring, stuff built for you, weekly training, and all sorts of additional support, so that you're becoming a bit of a master of the system as well. So that, folks, is it. So hopefully educated you a little bit on what we can do with automation, how clever it can be. It's a massive time saver. And even if you don't automate, do please consider doing the comment keyword type posts rather than just pushing people to funnels all the time where they need to fill details in, because people are a lot more likely to be doing that, to commenting, than they are to be filling a form in. Again, it's just that whole value exchange. So please do consider that. Any other? Oh, we have another question. We have another question, Carrie Ann.
Very quickly, if we've got funnels already, would you suggest that we move from the funnels to the button or not?
Well, the funnel is a thing in its own right, and the funnel is where the button would probably send them to. So no, okay. You'd still have your funnel, but this is all about trying to direct traffic to something that you've already got, right? So if your funnel gives away an ebook, then you could consider both. You could consider a button that takes them to the funnel that gains their email address and stuff like that, or you could consider just trying to give it away via the button instead to see whether you get more interest. If you've got a funnel that does something different, that doesn't necessarily collect a huge amount of information and there's not much user friction, then you could just send them straight to it. So no, I wouldn't suggest move away from, but I would suggest play with. because this is all about trying to get engagement with people so that you can have a conversation with them, whether that conversation's over DM or a call or just via text chat. It's great to have a funnel, but if you're not driving traffic to it, it's the world's best kept secret. So there's no point to it. So you may as well be giving some stuff away via comments, which is starting conversations, which then allows you to explore more as to whether they need what you have and whether you can help them or not, right? So play with it, play with lots of different strategies. And I think this is one of the key things that sometimes, not just coaches, I think in general, people get a little bit caught up with, and that is just going down one route. I've got an ebook, end of, and then they stop and they just put all the hopes on this ebook. It's like, no, have conversations, DM people, reach out to people, pick up the phone, have, comments on posts, give stuff away, have funnels. You need to find what's going to work for your audience, right? So yeah, don't throw anything away, don't change anything, but just do different versions of it to see which sticks.
Lovely. Thank you.
Any more, or should we close? Has that been useful? Just let me know. Let me know in the comments if that's been useful. Let me know in the comments if anybody wants a chat afterwards. I'm always open to having chats about how this could work, whether it's relevant, whether you should use it, shouldn't use it. And of course, if you want to talk about Growth Runtime, then absolutely just give me a shout, drop me a DM. This will be available as a replay as well in the Growth Hub. So it's available again to rewatch if you want to watch it slower. And I'll share the links and the QR codes in there as well, just in case anybody, again, wants to have a play about with using the post to see what it looks like. Fantastic. Right. Go and enjoy what's left of your lunchtime, folks. Thanks for coming, guys. Brilliant. See you next time. Bye. Bye.